Hello and welcome to my tarot card reading for the month of November 2013. Let's immediately get familiarized with the main topic that is going to dominate the rest of the reading, and which also points out the direction, the tendencies for November 2013. Let's immediately take a look at Elegua. And we have Oba and we have Babalu. First we need to know that Elegua opens and closes doors, but at the same time he's a messenger. We have here Oba, and the only stories that I know about Oba is about traps that have been set, treason, when you trust someone and that person stab you in the back. That's what I'm trying to talk about. This is what I'm referring to. And then here we have Babalu, and the only story that I know that can fit the rest of the description here is about when you don't fulfill your contract, when you don't do as you said you will do. So here what we're talking about is messages, things related with treason, being stabbed in the back, this kind of situation where people, nations, countries, governments, whatever it is, they just don't live their lives accordingly to the standards, to a contract. Is contracts that are violated some way, somehow. So we're talking again about allies, coalitions, structures, government structures, everything. It is seen here. That's the main topic here, okay? November 2013. Okay, now we have here the astrological cards. We have the King of Cups with representing the crown of Scorpio with Pluto, Uranus, and then we have Nine of Pentacles with Saturn, Virgo. 9 is the number of death, and Scorpio is related with death, with renewal. Notice that we have Pluto and Uranus here. So we're talking about big changes, quick, sudden changes practically. We have to remember that Pluto is also about control. So these quick, sudden changes might be tinged with a little bit of resistance and fear, control, manipulation. And then we have here the Nine of Pentacles, Saturn, Virgo. So what we're talking about here is there's going to be a lot of analysis, minute analysis, and quick, sudden changes, methodology, etc. Quick, sudden changes, bureaucratic changes, that's represented by Saturn structure. So that's what we're seeing here, a lot of quick, sudden changes. But then Uranus is also about rebellion. So we could say that there is a tinge of rebellion. Rebellion in a positive way and a negative way. You can be a rebel where you don't want to be part of the average, and you just want to excel, and you're good, and you might be seen as a rebel in a positive way. But then you have rebels that are the contrary, where they oppose the changes, be it good or bad. And that's the kind of dynamic that we're seeing here, and what we're talking about is changes on structure, structural changes, hierarchical changes, etc. So we have to pay attention, because I already said that there are contracts, things related with contracts, things that were promised that now they're broken. They're because something related with treason, stabbing in the back, whichever way you want to call it, okay? That's the kind of energy that is going to be the order of the day during November 2013. Okay. So what we're talking about here is about big major changes that are ensue by threesome, stabbing in the back, whichever way you want to call it. There are contracts or promises that are not fulfilled. They're broken for whatever reason. And we are going to start hearing about those things during the month of November 2013. Structural changes as well. Now, let's go to the first week of November. And we have here Pisces. And then Pisces is, the Page of Cups, which is Pisces. And this is letting us know that the first week of November is going to be full loaded with confusion. A lot of messages probably coming from left and right that are going to be a little bit confusing for everyone, even governments. Okay? By the second week, what we're seeing is resistance to change. What is the change? We have to pay attention to those changes because they're going to be the order of the day during the month of November, especially during the second week of November. By the third week of November, what we're seeing here is the Three of Cups that is talking about ruptures, separation, divorce, splitting. Yes, if there is an ally, there's going to be allies that are going to be separated. This kind of dynamic, separation, divorce, groups that are broken, separated. It could be business partners, it could be countries that do export, import, and some way, somehow, those ties are broken. Is anything along that line. Then by the last week of November, what we have here is a grieving of a loss. There's going to be a loss. What it is, we don't know, but it could be someone very famous, someone with enough power that might died, and that's the grieving process. A lot people are crying, technically speaking, the loss of something, and it has to be very important. Okay, it could be the crying the loss of those structural changes that I talk here about. Structural changes, allies, partners, all this kind of stuff that some way, somehow they split, they divorce, they separate, whatever is the word that you want to use. That's the energy. So the cards are saying that by the last week of November, what we're going to see is that kind of dynamic. People grieving, crying the loss of something or someone. Okay, now let's pay attention to what we have here in a vertical line and horizontal line. We have to keep in mind what I've been saying, the common thread, the common denominator of the whole reading. And then what the tarot cards are saying is that there is a separation coming during the month of November, a split, a sigma, whatever it is, that is going to create a lot of confusion. There's going to be a lot of confusion generated. Then we have here the Judgment card and the Five of Cups that is letting us know there is going to be fear, a lot of fear. People are going to be worried about this loss, and there's going to be a resistance to change, a fear to the change, and a fear to this loss. Because obviously it means that changes are coming, and there's the resistance. When we put together that separation, that split, that divorce, whatever we want to call it, a business partner, a partners, import, exports, whatever it is, countries, nations, governments, there's going to be a split, a sigma, a separation that is going to be grieved, that is going to be cried, that is going to create a lot of confusion. And there's going to be resistance and fear about this change. And all this is going to create a very interesting dynamic because there is a birth, a new project. But all this is going to create a lot of confusion. And the problem is that with confusion, it also brings quarrels, fights, arguments, whatever you want to see it or call it. Battles, wars, fights, arguments, quarrels regarding this new project that is going to emerge in this whole dynamic that we're going to start seeing during the month of November. Here we have the trilogy, and the trilogy is letting us know that there's a loss, and there's obviously changes. Something dies off. It's going to be a slow process, but something dies off, and it's going to create a sensation of doom, failure, doom and failure, technically speaking. That's the kind of dynamic. Remember, this is a general reading, and that's the kind of dynamic that we're going to be seeing playing out during the month of November. So we have to pay close attention to see what it is that is going to break up, what is the divorce, all these promises that are not going to be fulfilled, and not only promises are not going to be fulfilled, but also the stab in the back. We have to pay attention to all those little details because they are the trigger of all these changes, all these interlocking blocks that in some way, somehow, they're going to shift everything around. Now, we have here the confusion, and then this is about buying and selling. And, sorry. So obviously, what we're talking about is a lot of confusion on central banks. Not only central banks, even like the Dow Jones in United States, all these indices that we use to measure the economy, there's going to be a lot of confusion during the month of November. So we have to pay attention what is going to happen that is triggering this sigma, this separation, broken promises, and everything that is going to affect the economy as well. Okay? So we have here then the separation, and this is very, very interesting because the separation is going to be like a deep breath of hope that is going to take away all the burden. So we have to pay attention what is the dynamic or how things are going to play during the month of November. But that's the dynamic we're going to start seeing during November 2013. And then this is the last portion for November 2013. What we have here is the Six of Coins, Three of Cups. Notice again the Three of Cups, and again upside down, and the Three of Coins. And this is the one that I use for advice and warnings. Let's start analyzing this. This is what we're talking about. What we're seeing here is an alert of a tendency not to sacrifice anything. Nations, people, countries, governments, whatever it is, they don't want to sacrifice anything. There's a lack of sacrifice, if you understand what I'm trying to say. It's like they want to have the cake and eat it too, if you understand what I'm trying to say, because I speak Spanish, and at this point, I really don't get it either. Because if I have the cake, I can eat it, but obviously different culture. Then we have here the Three of Cups, talking about separation. So there is it's like a dead end where no one wants to give up anything, and there is a breakup, a sigma that ends you. And then the cards are telling us that if we want to be successful, if we want to get to something better, then we need to try to work out something. We have to sacrifice something. We have to give up something in order to make changes. Okay? That's the dynamic that the tarot cards are letting us know that is going to play during the month of November. I hope that this find you good and that you find this helpful, and have a wonderful November 2013.